Hey, boy, can you hear me good?
Brother, I can hear you great, man. You
I
look
am
great.
ready
You
to
look
go,
like you're ready
man.
to go. Dude, let's jump right into it. Ricky Carruth, absolute rock star of a human being. What, in your estimation, is the ideal daily schedule for an agent that wants to dominate their
There we
market?
go. Okay. That's a good question. I mean, it really kind of like it. That question is so subject to the agent, right? Like what stage of their career they're in. What are they, what are their goals? What are they doing now? What's working for them? What's not working for them? Like it's so subjected to the agent, right? There's not like a blanket statement. I think this is where a lot of coaches go wrong. I think this is where a lot of brokerages go wrong.
Sure.
They just kind of say, here's what every agent needs to do, or here's a cookie cutter, what to do, when it needs to be customized around the agent, right? Generally speaking, right, with that being said,
Sure.
generally speaking, I believe that if you're making calls all morning and doing social media and marketing all afternoon, and just generally speaking, and, kind of mold your own schedule around those activities, then you're going to be highly successful. So whatever that means to you, lead gen in the morning, marketing in the afternoon.
There it is. Simple as can be. And like you said, mold the lead gen around your personality, mold the marketing to your exact personality. But I think that's a pretty good cut and dry system that most agents can utilize. So, Ricky, I've known you for a long time, been following you on Instagram for a long time. It's clear that, work ethic is one of your superpowers for sure. But I got to know, do you ever wake up and feel a resistance to work, a resistance to all the things that you
No,
should be doing that day? And if you ever feel that resistance, it looks like you don't. You never
no,
feel
no, no.
resistance
I
to work.
mean, that would just be, a lot of people would just call that being lazy. You don't want to work. I, I, listen, I'm empathetic. I'm empathetic towards it because it takes people of all kinds to make the world go round, and so I understand people are different, but I've never felt the urge to not work.
Is there anything that you say to yourself, self-talk wise, or like a mantra on a daily basis to kind of keep yourself
No,
consistently taking
not at
action?
all. Not at all. I don't need any affirmations. I don't need anybody telling me what I need to be doing or if that I need to work today. Not at all. No. If you honestly like it,
I respect it. And I think the reason you don't feel resistance to work is probably because you're so deeply connected to your why. So I got to ask, what is your why right now? Why do you get up and take such massive action every single day?
um, well, there's probably a couple of reasons, but um, I think there's a level of euphoria, right? I think it's like kind of almost like an artist, like a work of art that when when you're building a masterpiece, like when Michelangelo, painted the chapel, it took more than a day, right? Took a long time, and every
Sure.
day he got up and he's working on this masterpiece little by little. And, after it was all said and done, after however long it took, you step back and you look at it and you say, wow, and that's the moment of euphoria, right? That you completed this massive project that took a really long time. It's the same thing with this. I feel like I'm painting a masterpiece that's going to take a decade to finish, doing little by little every day. And I'm going to step back and see this masterpiece that I've painted, um, and look back, and it's going to be a moment of euphoria. So every day I'm thinking about that masterpiece and how it's going to turn out, and how any moment that you aren't working at the most efficient level possible, you're kind of taken away from when that masterpiece is going to be completed. So every day there's dopamine, there's euphoria, within working hard. It's kind of like this. Like I know a lot of agents who don't make it or whatever, and they'll come in and get their license and they'll do everything but making calls for 5 months, and then finally I'm like,
Sure.
sit down, right here and call for sell by owners or whatever, and they'll call like 12 for sell by owners, and that day they'll tell me, oh my God, I actually feel like this is the first day I feel like a real estate agent. Right? I've actually talked to live prospects.
Yeah.
I got that feeling. I got the butterflies, and I got to have conversations with real life prospects, right? And it's kind of like it's kind of the same thing, that feeling you get when you feel like you're actually doing something. And so you start to carve out what those activities are that you can do that actually make you feel like you're actually doing something incredibly productive. And then you just become you become addicted to the feeling that you get when you've completed those highest producing tasks, right, and activities. And you just kind of become addicted to it, right? So making calls is one of those tasks. Creating great content is one of those tasks. Doing the weekly email consistently, working out at the gym, those tasks that are really putting you ahead of people who aren't doing those tasks become extremely addictive, right?
Sure. I love that, man. That's really good. So spend your time on high leverage tasks and keep that masterpiece at the forefront of your mind. What are you looking to build 10 years from now? Remind yourself of that on a daily basis to keep yourself taking action.
Yeah.
That's powerful stuff,
Yeah.
Ricky.
Yeah.
On the prospecting front, really quick, circle prospecting, expireds or FSBOs, where do you think agents can most effectively spend their time on the phone right now?
Why not do both? I mean, you could call expireds on Monday, call for sell by owners on Tuesday, circle prospect on Wednesday, call online leads on Thursday. You should be diversified within your lead gen activities. But right now, since the market is so tight, I'm not a big for sell by owner fan, but I mean, I have agents who have, like, I got a guy that's got 9 pending deals, and they're right now currently, and they're all for sell by owners, and he has like another 14 listed, all for sell by owners. The market is so tight right now that, with for sell by owners, they've raised their hand saying, I would sell or need to sell or might sell. Expireds, right? They were just
Sure.
recently trying to sell. And I'm even going back to 2018, 19, and 20 on expireds and calling those. But I think that, and then also absentee owners, people that don't live in the property you're calling about, second home, Airbnbs, investments, long-term rentals, whatever. I think those are also a pretty good avenue right now, because when those people sell, they're just taking profit off the table and don't have to move. It's the people it's the primary homeowners that are tough to get to list right now. That's why new listings are at like all-time lows right now as far as people listing their properties, because they're sitting on such low interest rates. So second home, absentee, expired, for sale by owners, that's kind of the low-hanging fruit, if there is even a such thing right now.
Love that. Ricky, back to you and all you're doing right now, because I think people can learn about a lot from how you operate. You're a guy who gets a tremendous amount done on a daily basis every day. How do you organize your tasks? Are you a to-do list guy, or do you time block out your calendar to the second?
A little bit of both. So I wake up and I kind of schedule my day. So I kind of have my like key schedule moments, like Zoom calls or, podcasts or coaching calls or whatever. And then I've got my and then I have my to-do list
Sure.
for all the stuff that kind of needs to get done in between my Zoom calls and stuff, right? So yeah, it's just a day to day, what's on the schedule, what all needs to get done. And then I try to organize it in the morning for how I want my day to lay out to be the most productive.
Very cool, Ricky. And one more question before we wrap up. For someone who's out there listening right now, and maybe they're in a job they don't love, they're doing something that they're not passionate about, they feel kind of stuck. They've got a dream in their heart. They're not taking action on it. How do they get unstuck?
Quit. I mean, you're not stuck. That's the first problem, is they're putting themselves in a box like they're stuck. They're not. If you're working a job and your bills are paid, then you're not stuck. You're doing great. I mean, there's people out there who can't pay their bills. So let's think about what we have to be grateful for before we start thinking about where we're not. That's step one. And then realize that, okay, if you're working a job and you have your real estate license and you're doing real estate part-time, you know, when you do break through and you go real estate full-time, what's going to be the difference in your day-to-day when that happens? Right now, you get up every day, work your ass off, go home, go to bed, do it all over again. When you get full-time real estate, you're going to wake up, work your ass off, go home, and do it all over again. It's the same thing. Your life's not going to change much at all, right? So I think the object is perspective, to realize how you're not stuck and how long of a game this really is. I mean, sometimes it takes agents like 3 to 5 years to get going, to get to where they can do this full time. I've seen it over and over and over again. And people give up after like 6 to 8 months. It's crazy. It's like you got into this to do it for 30 years. You know, this is a long game. I don't care how you slice it up. I'm not trying to discourage people. I'm trying to encourage you by setting the right expectations so that you can just fight through however long it takes to get there. Anybody in the world, 100% of the population can be successful as a real estate agent. 100% of the population. So why do 90% of the people who get their license fail? Because they're just not patient enough. They're not willing to stick it out long enough. It's like, even when it feels like it's not working, it is. Even if you make calls and let's say you call 100 people and you get one maybe, and you do that, it's like, you know, and you're like, oh man, you got a maybe. If you did that for every day, 250 working days a year, and you got 250 maybes, you're going to close 10, 15, 20 of them. That's 10, 15, 20 deals that year off of just 100 maybes or 250 maybes. You're going to get more than one maybe every 100 dials, right? That was just that 100 dials. But even if you just got those results for every call session for a year for 250 working days, that's 250 maybes. That's going to turn into 10, 15, 20 deals this year. And Lord knows how much volume next year from the seeds you planted with those 250 maybes this year. And this is just giving you just one little bitty example of many different ways that this scenario could play out. It's crazy how far people are ahead who think that they're stuck, right? It's crazy. It's nuts.
Ricky, that's powerful stuff, man. The maybes add up, and eventually they turn into yeses. That's great stuff, man. Ricky, dude, thank you for carving out some time, for being on this Instagram live version of the Doing Big Things podcast. I know you're going to go out there today and do big things and crush like you always do,
Okay, bro.
my friend.
Thank you, man.
I'll see you soon.
Be good.
Later, brother.